Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mang, and we are going to talk about some more Shadowrun stuff because it's all very cool, very interesting. And today we're going to be talking about shopping. And by that, I more specifically mean the kind of things that you are allowed to purchase in the world of Shadowrun for your character. And so fair warning, I'm probably going to be geeking out a number of different times because it's all very cool and I get easily excited when it comes to things like this. So you've been warned. So before we dive into all the different things, we're not going to be talking about like actual like character. We're not going to be talking about qualities. For one, we're not going to be talking about all the kind of crazy characters you can make that have like extendable roller skates that come out of the bottom of their feet, or things like that. Things that are all kind of just look at how crazy I can be. We're just going to be going about the things that you can buy. That's probably going to include cyberware and bioware. But I'm not really going to be talking about character concepts and things like that. That'll probably be a separate video. So something to understand about things that you can buy. It's a very logical thing, and I might have already talked about it a little bit, but there's a thing in Shadowrun called availability. And availability is basically how easy it is to obtain something. Because like a granola bar is a lot easier to get than a high-powered sniper rifle. Okay, it just makes sense. So the availability ranges from basically nil, NA, or I think it's just like a dash, which is like less than zero. You can pick up anything that has that availability in just a standard like grocery store or Walmart. You can basically go to Walmart and pick it up. And then it ranges, I want to say, through 24, I think might be the highest. We're going to go with 24 for now. There might be something higher, but that's as high, I think, as I've seen. And that's obviously, there's not many things that's that difficult to obtain, but there are some stuff. So depending on how tough it is to get, you might have to do some work to obtain it. For the standard character creation for 5th edition Shadowrun, just standard across the line, the highest that you can obtain, the highest stuff you can buy, is availability 12 or less. So anything higher than availability 12, you just can't get, unless you take the restricted gear quality, which is worth some karma. You have to spend some karma, and then you're able to get one piece of gear that's like anything you want, as long if you can afford it. But as it is, 12 or less, and then you can adjust that depending on the type of game you're running. If you want to run like a really kind of street level, you're like dealing with gangs and stuff like that, you might do like availability 6 or less. Where if you get like a shotgun, that's a big deal. If you have a shotgun, or like a good shotgun, that would be crazy. Or if you do like kind of a prime runners, you've been doing this a long time, you're doing the best of the best jobs, you might say like availability 18 or less, or 20 or less, or something. So that's availability, and then along with that, there is also the R rating, which is restricted, which means that you need a license or paperwork or something. It's if you get caught with it, you're going to have to show some proof that you're allowed to carry it. And then the F is for forbidden, which means no matter what, you're probably getting arrested. So don't get caught with it. All right, so let's start by talking about weapons, because weapons are interesting. There are two types of weapons, melee weapons and ranged weapons. So in the core rulebook, and we're going to basically be using the core rulebook as well as a bit from Run and Gun when I feel like it. So core rulebook melee weapons include kind of all the stuff that you would expect, like just a knife, your basic all-purpose street cutter. Comes in a bewildering array of styles, colors, and flavors, but the statistics don't vary from one to the other. Ordinary knives are used by the poor, the desperate, or the cautious as backup weapons. So, very basic. I mean, a knife you can pick up at Walmart. It's not very good. It costs 10 new yen, pretty cheap. Then, they move it up. Say you want, you can also get, a survival knife. Costs, 10 times as much. Not much better, but it also includes, a GPS monitor, a multi-tool, hidden little compartment, blah, blah, blah. You can also get, a katana, which is pretty damn good and is pretty restricted. That's a 9R rating for availability. That's much harder to conceal, but quite a bit more dangerous. But the most dangerous just blade melee weapon from the core rulebook is the combat axe. It does strength plus 5 physical damage. It's a 12R availability rating. So this is, if you start normal standard rules, you can get this. Two-handed tungsten alloy monster, available single or double bladed. A hardened thrusting point can be concealed, spring-loaded in the handle. While it may seem barbaric or primitive, the physical augmentations of 2075 can make an old-school weapon like a combat axe even deadlier than a firearm in the right hands. So go ahead, go medieval. So yeah, combat axe, very difficult to conceal. Most people are probably going to see you wielding a combat axe. It's not very accurate, but it can definitely do a lot of damage. They also have clubs. This is stuff like, a club. The weapon they named the skill after. These stats represent a range of objects, including an axe handle, baseball bat, wrench, crowbar, tire iron, and a 2x4 with a rusty nail in it. There is a price listed, but it's not overly difficult to find one for free if you know where to look. So yeah, that it kind of covers an array of different things. It's just a club. They also have extendable batons, or a sap / blackjack, a stun baton. Stun baton does not actually do damage based on your strength. Unlike most of the melee weapons, it actually just does a static, 9 stun electric damage. But it has good armor piercing, but it is restricted. So you do need some paperwork to have a stun baton, because usually it's used by the police and corporate security and things like that. They also have brass knuckles, or they call knucks, which are not great, but very easily concealed, and it's better than just your normal punching, because it actually can do physical damage instead of just stun damage, so there you go. And then the monofilament whip. This has a 12 forbidden rating, so this is illegal for anyone to own. It does 12 points of physical damage. It has -8 armor piercing, so it'll cut through armor like butter, and is quite accurate, but it costs 10,000 new yen. Iconic, terrifying, deadly. Few weapons on the street are more feared. This monofilament line can cut through bone and armor like hot butter, as I said. The line extends out to 2 meters and retracts into the weapon's handle when not in use. The whip action, the weighted tip, and the deadly threat of the monofilament line itself make this weapon a potential danger to its wielder. On a glitch, you catch the weighted tip on something nearby and need to disentangle it before you make another proper attack. On a critical glitch, you hit yourself with the whip and take its base damage, resisted normally. And you do need a special exotic melee weapon skill for monofilament whip to use it. And one thing that I read, I don't know if I'm going to cover this later, so I'll just say it now because it's cool, is you can get a cyber finger. Because there are cyber fingers. You can just replace individual fingers with fake cyberware. And you can have a monofilament whip loaded into your cyber finger. So you just press on the inside of your palm in a special spot. And you're going for a slap or something, but then you press that, and your cyber finger releases, because the end of it is weighted, and so it releases this monofilament whip that nobody ever expects, but can just cut off somebody's head. So that's cool. And Run and Gun has some more blades, including the Highland Forge Claymore. And yes, it's a claymore. It's claymore. It does as much damage as a combat axe, but I think it's better for armor piercing, and its availability of 14R. So you'll have to acquire this after character creation normally. There's also a rapier. Nothing special, but if you want to be kind of a Zoro, Errol Flynn type character, there you go. The Victorinox memory blade. This is an interesting one. Is it a belt or is it a deadly weapon? A strange question, but one you must ask yourself when it comes to the memory blade. Victorinox uses their smart steel technology to provide a flexible material that can be commanded to stiffen and form a blade. They currently have 2 self-defense designs available for special order. The belt, a sword-length design worn around the waist, and the bracelet, a design aimed at lady execs who want a little extra protection. So, yeah, I feel like if Batman was in the Shadowrun universe, he would probably have one of these. I know he doesn't really use swords, but swords are common in Shadowrun for some reason, so he would probably just have it on his utility belt that he could just whip out. And you can also change it by doing a software plus logic test. If you know somebody that can program, you can change it into pretty much anything you want. The weapon sheath can be formed into a piece of clothing or put in some other appropriate place to hide the weapon. So yeah, you can have a shoe that turns into a sword if you want. Because why not? It's Shadowrun. The Ares 1 mono sword. And the slogan for this sword is, there can be only one. It's basically a normal sword, but it has a monofilament line along the edge. And rule of thumb is, anytime you add monofilament to any weapon, it's automatically just better. Because monofilaments are crazy. Monofilament, I guess, is just like a razor sharp wire. What's a good example? Like, I'm going to say Alien versus Predator. That's the example I'm going to go with. The Predator in there had like these nets that were just razor sharp and could just slice right through guns and shit. It was ridiculous. That's monofilaments, I guess. The Cougar Fine Blades. Finely crafted but also expensive, the Fine Blade line of Cougar products are usually only found in the hands of professionals where they belong. They come in 2 designs, a long blade currently crafted in the fashion of a gladius, and a short blade currently fashioned after the Bowie knife. So they're not really any crazy good knife. I mean, they're better than just a normal knife, but they cost like $350 or $600. For clubs, they also have the Nemesis Arms Maul Stun Staff. Pretty much exactly like something out of the Star Wars prequels. Double-sided zapping power. Stun staff is basically a staff with stun batons on each end. Doesn't do damage based on your strength. It just does 9 stun damage, but it has good armor piercing. But it's not very concealable. It's pretty noticeable. Exotic melee weapons, they have the garrote. Garrote can be as simple as a string attached to a pair of pencils, but it's usually a far more professional tool. Garrote is a handheld weapon designed to quietly kill via strangulation. The weapon consists of a central string, usually a semi-flexible wire of some sort, attached to a pair of handles. So they have the standard garrote, which does strength plus 4 stun damage, which is interesting that it does stun damage, but it is designed to just strangle somebody out. And you can kill somebody with stun damage, so you could, if you just keep choking them, yeah, you'll kill them. It has -6 armor piercing, because normally people are not too armored around their necks. So they, armor in general, we'll talk about armor later, but armor in general is kind of an abstraction. Because a lot of people, when they first go into Shadowrun, they're like, well, he's not wearing a helmet. Can't I just shoot him in the head and it just ignores all his armor and he dies? The answer is no. There are called shots you can do. So you can do a called shot to somebody's head or to their vitals or whatever. And you take a -4 to the roll, and it does an extra 2 damage. And it's like, well, I hit him in the face with a rifle shot. How is he still standing? He has no armor there. He's not wearing a helmet or anything. It's because armor is an abstraction. It's just kind of, it's a game. You just kind of have to go with it. People take this a bit more seriously when it comes to guns and Shadowrun and things like that than when it comes to D&D. When it comes to D&D, it's just, oh, armor class, sure. It just bounces off, whatever. So yeah, it's an abstraction. You just kind of have to go with it. So they do things like that, where garrote does -6 armor piercing to just kind of represent that. They could have perhaps done the called shot system better, but if they made it too overpowered, people would just never not aim for the head. And I guess they didn't want to do that. They wanted to kind of balance it out, which is all right. And in fact, using the garrote, you have to have the exotic melee weapon skill for it. And you have to do a called shot to the head for it to actually use it. So you get a -4 whenever you use the garrote, no matter what, I guess, which kind of sucks. But it is what it is. So that's standard garrote. But then they also have the Ares Queen of Hearts monofilament garrote. And as I just said, anything monofilament is automatically better. Leave it to Ares to make something deadly even deadlier. The Queen of Hearts is the nickname for Ares' monofilament garrote that will often take a head right off well before the target suffocates, though I'm certain that was part of the intended design. So the monofilament garrote does strength plus 6 physical damage, which is nuts for a melee weapon, with -8 armor piercing, which is even more ridiculously nuts. Costs $2,000, but here's the kicker. Availability 18 forbidden. Like, that thing is basically banned by the Geneva Convention. Like, it's... You'd have to take either restricted gear, and that would be, like, your thing. Like, I have a monofilament garrote, and you never want to lose it. Or you have to acquire it later, which, it's not impossible, but 18 forbidden is pretty high. So, yeah, that's pretty special. Very dangerous. Then they, of course, have combat chainsaws. It's popular culture in the late 20th century that made the idea of wielding a tree-trimming tool as an implement of death part of popular myth. After someone made a flatbed film about a chainsaw-wielding killer in Texas and then slipped a fictional S-Smart model over the stumpy form of a time-traveling fighter of evil, chainsaw somehow became thought of as a sword with a spinning chain blade. Truth is, trying to swing a chainsaw as a weapon is fragging ridiculous, but that doesn't stop niche market weapons manufacturers from feeding the public hunger. So what they do for the combat chainsaws is they basically remove a lot of the safety mechanisms and features from a normal chainsaw. So it's usable in a fight, although it's not great. They're both... They of course have the monofilament chainsaw, and that's the one you're going to get, because why would you not? I mean, yeah, it costs an extra $5,500. But it's only 8R availability rating. It can, like, cut through cement. It has a -8 armor piercing, which it's nuts. That's really high. And it does 12 physical damage. It's not based on your strength. So if you don't have low strength and you want just a ridiculous melee weapon, monofilament chainsaw, that's what you need. Alright, so that covers most of the physical melee weapons. Nothing really that insane. The monofilament whips and chainsaws and garrotes are pretty damn cool, but if you're, I mean, I haven't played, I guess, with a character that was just pure melee. So most people are just gonna have like a knife on them, a combat knife, or maybe a katana or something like that. Maybe a stun baton, but yeah. But we'll talk about... Actually, maybe I should talk about that right now. It's not technically a melee weapon, although it is. I made a Cyclops character just in the character builder. I was working on him. A Cyclops have like the highest starting strength of almost anything. And so I named him Bugsy, of course. And you can buy battering rams. This is in Run and Gun, not the core rulebook. You can buy battering rams. And battering rams, as the name suggests, are used to often batter down doors. So they have a standard one, just 10R availability, $2,000, and it can knock down doors. But then they also have a fluid motion one. It includes an internal 10-liter liquid reservoir. When used, the ram is swung backwards and then forward to strike the target. On impact, the internal fluid in the ram creates extra momentum that increases the impact damage. Which I thought was pretty cool. As like a mechanic, I wonder if they have that shit in real life, because that's pretty genius. I guess you don't really batter too much. Although, I have no idea what they batter. I guess they do. Or maybe they just kick down doors. I don't know. Then they also have the pneumatic ram. This is really illegal because it's basically just a big pneumatic piston. You secure it to a door, and it requires a 4-person team of average humans to deploy. So it hits something really hard. It does 16 points of physical damage. -4 armor piercing, $10,000, 18R availability. Finally, why I brought this up, they have the shock ram, or users call it the shock knocker. And 4 large conductive spikes protrude from the ram's head that penetrate the barrier to deliver the charge. blah, 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 blah. So it's cost 15 grand, so it's not too cheap. 10R availability, which is surprising. -3 armor piercing, but here's the kicker. Strength +2, +12 electric damage. So that takes your strength, adds 2 to it for the damage, and then it adds 12 electric damage onto it for the shock attack. Which means that, yeah, good old Bugsy the Cyclops, with his augmented 14 strength, can do 28 damage with the shock battering ram. And I put maxed out his skill in exotic melee weapon battering ram. So he gets to roll 13 dice, 7 accuracy because his battering ram is like tricked out just for him, and it does 28 damage and shocks a person. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. So yeah, not really intended much as a melee weapon, but it can be used as it. All right. They also have bows. They have bows and crossbows. Crossbows come in light, medium, heavy. Bows have a different rating to indicate basically the type of material it is. So for a bow, the damage is the rating +2. The rating goes up to 10 for these. So the rating +2 for damage. The armor piercing is negative rating divided by 4. So if you had a rating 8, it would be -2, I guess. So they don't pierce much armor, which I guess makes sense. And then the availability is whatever the rating is, and the cost is rating times 100 new yen. Maybe needlessly complex, but there you go. Crossbows work a similar way. Actually, they don't. I'm looking at some different arrows you can get in different ratings. Crossbows have more static numbers. Light, medium, heavy determines the damage, the accuracy, armor piercing, all that kind of stuff. And then they have throwing knives and shurikens, which are pretty basic. They cost like 25 new yen each. Strength +1 damage. Nothing too crazy. All right. After like 20 minutes of that talk, let's move on to ranged weapons. This is more interesting stuff. So pistols. Pistols, there are light pistols, which are your basic kind of 9mm gun or 10mm. I mean, these are most of them do 6 or 7 damage. Semi-automatic, maybe burst fire for an uncommon one. And generally around 4 to 7 availability rating. Most restricted, a few forbidden for various reasons. I think because it has a silencer, that one's forbidden. I guess. It has a built-in silencer. So, yeah, light pistols, nothing really too interesting. I don't think there's anything crazy to talk about that. The only one that's really kind of weird is the... Actually, no. None of them are that weird. From either books. There's the Fischetti Executive Action, which is what Gug uses, which is a light pistol, but it basically looks like a Glock. It's 10R availability, which is not the highest availability for a light pistol. I'll talk about that next, but it's up there, and it can do burst fire, and yeah, it's basically a Glock, but it's not a machine pistol. The Shiwazi Arms Puzzler. This is probably the most interesting light pistol. Made from 20 different MAD defeating components. MAD is magnetic anomaly detector, so it detects metal. It's a metal detector. MAD defeating components that appear to be everyday items, such as jewelry and comlink add-ons. This pistol is a choice weapon to sneak into areas illegally. It is difficult, but not impossible to figure out that the disparate items are actually part of a firearm. It helps, of course, if you've seen one before. So yeah, it's literally a gun that breaks down into things like a pen and earrings and lipstick and a lighter and stuff like that, and you put it all together. It takes like a couple minutes to do. Yeah, it turns into a pistol. It's not a great pistol. As far as light pistols go, it's really nothing special. You can only do semi-automatic, has no armor piercing, 6 damage. It's somewhat standard, but it has low accuracy of 4. But it can hold 12 rounds, so it's not terrible. There are better light pistols, but none that can kind of disassemble like that. So that's pretty interesting. So that's light pistols. Then there are heavy pistol. These are your big sidearms. These are your revolvers and 357 Magnums and the 50 cals and things like that. The Ares Predator 5 and the Browning Ultra Power. And so pretty much all of these have a higher base damage than the light pistols. Not necessarily higher accuracy. Generally, they have some form of armor piercing, but most of them are semi-automatic as well. A little bit higher availabilities, higher costs, blah, blah, blah. So it might be that you look at it like, why would I ever take a light pistol then over a heavy pistol? Most wouldn't. I mean, it's a bit of a flavor thing. It's a bit maybe you want some higher accuracy, which you'll get out of the light pistols. But there's also concealability to worry about. Concealability is how easily you can hide something from people patting you down and things like that. So a heavy pistol has a concealability modifier of 0. A light pistol has -2. So that's a little bit. But yeah, overall, heavy pistols are going to do more damage, which just makes sense. But it's kind of like, why should I buy like a 9mm pistol when I could buy a Desert Eagle? It's just kind of like, well, there's a usability sense there. But yeah, heavy pistols are pretty good. There's the Ares Viper Silver Gun, which is interesting because, well, I'll read it. The sleek silver gun pairs the undeniable winning combo of burst fire capability and built-in sound suppression with its large magazine capacity. It fires metal slivers that count as flèche ammunition, which is factored into the weapon's damage code. So it has a 30-round clip, which is massive. That's basically as high as pistol clips go. It can do burst fire. Not very accurate. And the flèche ammunition basically means it gets higher. It's not even the highest damage, really, of a pistol. And it has +4 armor piercing, which is not really good. But if you want a heavy pistol that can do burst fire, there you go. If you're going up against unarmored targets, 30-round clip, you'll be shooting a while. But it is 8F availability. It's forbidden because it does have, I think, the integrated silencer is what does it. I'm pretty sure. The Remington Room Sweeper. It's basically a short-barreled shotgun more than a pistol. But it's damn cheap, surprisingly. 250 new yen. The Ruger Super Warhawk, I think, is the highest damaging heavy pistol, other than using flèche. It does 9 physical, -2 armor piercing, but it's single shot. And it's basically a revolver. That one's pretty much a 357 revolver. Then there are machine pistols. These are pretty much like the halfway stepchild between a pistol and a submachine gun. You have to use the automatic skill to use it with burst fire or full auto. And these include things like the TMP, the Black Scorpion, stuff like that. Nothing too crazy. Pretty much about light pistol damage rounds. Not wonderful accuracy, but big clips. And, if you use the TMP, you got full auto out of a machine pistol, which is pretty concealable. So if you just want to bust something out of your coat real quick and just start spraying lead, machine pistol can do that. But then there are also, stepping down from that, the other direction from light pistols, is holdouts. Holdouts are like the Derringer up your sleeve. It's kind of like the old school. You catch somebody cheating at cards, and they just, you just quick flick of your wrist, and there's a Derringer shot, which was the last Shadowrun campaign, Ziggy and I both had Derringers up our sleeves. So the best example of the Derringer is the Walther Palm Pistol. Classic double-barrel Derringer and an over-under barrel combination. Packs a punch for its size, but on the downside, it has one of the most diminutive magazine capacities on the market. Just 1 bullet per barrel. Both barrels can be fired at once as a short burst. Okay, so yeah, 7 physical damage, 4 accuracy, but it can do burst fire by firing both at once, which basically means the defender gets -1 to their defense rolls, but probably not worth it. You'd rather fire both shots separately, so they get to make 2 different rolls, but then you're kind of screwed after you shoot. If that's your only weapon, you're pretty screwed, because that's it. You have to fill them by hand. But it's cheap and readily available. It's 4R rating. The Streetline Special, the only thing special about that is it's made of composite materials. So MAD scanners suffer a -2 dice penalty to detect it. So if you want to slip something in past metal detectors, that might be the way to go. 6 shots, semi-automatic, 6 damage, 4R rating. 120 new yen. Anybody can buy that. And then the most expensive one, the Fischetti Tiffany Needler. This is basically for girls. It's pretty much for girls. It has a special color-changing coating that can be manipulated via wireless signal. This is useful to make sure your gun matches with your shoes or your handbag. This is what it says, I swear to you. The Needler can only fire flèche rounds. So, +5 armor piercing, 8 damage, semi-auto, 4-round clip. It's for girls that go into a party, I guess. Finally, you have tasers. Tasers are exactly what you think they are. There are 2 tasers in the core book, the Yamaha Pulsar and the Defiance EX Shocker. Both are pretty similar. One costs $250, the other $180. They both have 4-round clips. One is single shot, the other is semi-automatic. Both have -5 armor piercing. One does 9 stun damage, the other does 7 stun damage. But they have 4 accuracy and 5 accuracy, so they're kind of like pick whatever you want. The Defiance, though, does have melee contacts, so you can actually use it as a stun weapon in melee. Although it's not great, but it's there. So it's kind of like equilibrium. It's cool. So that's tasers. If you need a non-lethal ranged weapon, you can just tase them. But most people are just going to carry stick and shock ammo. All right. How long have we been talking? 32 minutes. We got still a lot to go. We've only covered weapons, by the way. Not even most of them. Submachine guns. Not much really to say here. They're all kind of like UMPs, Uzis, stuff like that. Like the Ingram Smart Gun X is basically an Uzi. I mean, a lot of these guns, there are a lot of them. I'm not listing most of them. A lot of them have, like, if you just look at kind of their stats, like everything has like a stat block. It might not tell you all the information. Like the Ingram Smart Gun X comes with a gas vent 2 system and a smart gun system and a sound suppressor. So it comes with all of that built in. But the stat block doesn't show that. It just tells you the accuracy, the damage, the firing modes, ammo, stuff like that, the cost. So a lot of these might have very similar like stat blocks, same accuracy, damage, blah, blah, blah. But some of them have different things built in. Like the FN-P93 Praetor comes with a special chamber system, provides 1 point of recoil compensation, an integrated rigid stock, and a flashlight. That one's also 11 forbidden. Because apparently it was built just for corporate court-controlled Interpol fast response teams. So if you are not a member of the corporate court force, you're breaking many laws. So some things are reflected in the stat blocks, like the recoil compensation is shown in the stat block, but the flashlight is obviously not listed there. So yeah, there's a lot of little differences like that. Assault rifles. You have the AK-97, which is, it's the AK. It's pretty much the same thing. It's modernized, I guess, but it's meant to just fire a lot of bullets. It has a 4R availability, which is just dirty. It's cheap as shit. So if you're running like a street level game where you just say, okay, you can't have anything higher than 4, they can still get an AK-97, which does 10 damage, -2 armor piercing, full auto with a 38 round clip. They can still do a lot of damage. But it makes sense. I mean, it's a fucking assault rifle. So that's kind of basic things. You also then go the other direction where you have the Ares Alpha, which is specially designed for Ares Firewatch Special Forces. Has an 11 forbidden rating, much for the same reason as the other one. If you're not part of the Firewatch Special Forces, why do you have this? Comes with an underbarrel grenade launcher, smart gun system, and an expensive chamber design that provides 2 points of recoil compensation. Costs $26.50. Most expensive assault rifle in the core book. Other stuff, nothing too crazy. Some of the guns, like the Yamaha Raiden, cannot do semi-automatic. You have to burst fire or full auto, which is interesting. I don't know why they would design that, but okay. Sniper rifles, you basically have like 3 high-end ones: the Ares Desert Strike, Cavalier Arms Crockett EBR, and the Ranger Arms SM5. And then it gives you 2 like old school ones, the Remington 950 and the Ruger 100. And there's a drastic difference in all their shit. Well, not all their shit, but most of their shit. Like the Ares Desert Strike, 10 forbidden rating. The Remington 950, 4R rating. I think it's just, yeah. The cost of the Ares Desert Strike, 17,500. Cost of the Ruger 100, 1,300 new yen. Like, there's a big difference there, but you know, if you're playing kind of the street level thing, you're not going to get the Ares Desert Strike, but you can get a Remington if you want a sniper rifle. It's bolt action, sure, but there you go. You can still pump out similar damage numbers. They're not that far off, but the Ares Desert Strike comes with stuff that the other one doesn't. Shotguns, mostly just what you'd kind of expect. They have kind of a semi-automatic / single shot one. They have a semi-automatic / burst fire one, and then they just have the regular single shot one. The PJSS Model 55 is pretty old school. If it comes with any sort of wood, it's very old school. Can still hurt like hell, but the PJSS is a double-barreled shotgun. The Defiance T250 is basically like, if there's any gang member anywhere that has a shotgun, he's probably going to have the Defiance T250. It has a 4R availability, 450 new yen, and can hurt like hell. But if you really want to step it up, you get the Enfield AS7, which can do burst fire. You can get a 24-round drum. Comes with a built-in top-mounted laser sight. 12F rating for availability. But yes, please. Okay, so then for run and gun, we'll quickly go through all the ones there. I'll just mention anything that kind of interesting stuff. The PSK-3 collapsible heavy pistol has a 16 forbidden rating. Designed for the Russian UGB secret police in 2061, this pistol is able to fold up into a box barely larger than an old-style wallet when the grip is removed. Formerly a clandestine weapon made only for the UGB, information about it leaked to the public rather quickly, and it became a popular choice for protection details and spy agencies around the world. Able to flip into combat mode with the press of a single button, it requires a custom silencer that must be bought separately for 700 new yen. Not crazy damage for a heavy pistol, but being able to fit into a wallet, or the size of a wallet, that's pretty crazy. Bunch of other ones. Collapsible machine pistols. That one can basically also fit into the size of a small box, but that one's a machine pistol. 17F availability. They've got really cool artwork for all the weapons, by the way. Well, not all of them. They don't show art for every single one, but a lot of them you get to see what they look like. There's some badass stuff. The Ares Executioner submachine gun. The HK Urban Combat, the AK-98, which is basically an AK-97, but it comes with the underbarrel grenade launcher. but it makes it an 8 forbidden rating. Yeah, man, there's some really cool shit. Sniper rifles, the Terracotta Arms AM-47, 14F availability, 35,000 new yen. And it's basically, it's the largest sniper rifle. It's intended for, like, trolls and stuff to use. It comes with an imaging scope, smart gun system, underbarrel weight, bipod, and a safe target system with an extended barrel for increased range. And a built-in comlink. 9 accuracy, 15 damage, -4 armor piercing, and an 18-round clip. Yeah, that can pump out some damage. The other one is the Barrett Model 122. This is the sniper rifle that Gug wants to end up with, by the way. 9 accuracy, 14 physical damage, -6 armor piercing. That's nuts for a sniper rifle, because chances are you're going to use armor-piercing rounds. The definitive anti-material rifle. Barrett has been producing world-class firearms for decades. It comes with a sound suppressor, smart gun system, and a folding bipod. 38,000 new yen. Alright, here's the last one I'll list from here. The Auto Assault 16. A favorite among military and mercenary units, the rugged and deadly AA-16 is the latest in the AA line of assault shotguns. Unofficially nicknamed the Warhammer by its users, the fully auto-capable AA-16 provides superior firepower and ammo capacity in short to medium-range engagements, while completely dominating in a close-quarters battle. Specially designed internal mechanisms also absorb most of the weapon's recoil, making the AA-16 extremely easy to handle in combat. 32-round drum, 13 damage, -1 armor piercing, with full auto capability on a shotgun. It's 18 forbidden availability. So if you've seen Expendables, you know all about auto shotguns. It's incredible. So that might be something you would take if you went with the restricted gear quality. If you're just like, give me a freaking full auto shotgun. Boom. It only costs $1,800. But you're going to go through ammo pretty quickly. But, you know, it's worth it. They also have machine guns. So these are the miniguns, things like that. So you have the Vindicator minigun, which, yes, it looks like what you'd expect. 6-barreled, belt-fed, rotary lead spitter is usually mounted on vehicles, drones, or light aircraft. But it's also popular with metatypes of a larger stature. You can get a 200-round belt, and can only shoot full auto. Costs $6,000. 24 forbidden availability. So I think that's about as high as it goes. They got other machine guns. There's light machine guns, medium machine guns, heavy machine guns, which basically determines how strong you have to be to use it, unless it's attached to a vehicle. Then they have cannons and launchers. So these are assault cannons and grenade and missile launchers. So grenade launchers, they are what you'd expect. Nothing really crazy for me to read there. But the crime cannon, as it's called. Crime may be a small-time manufacturer, but their assault cannon, simply called the Cannon, is a cheap, heavy weapon big on attitude and firepower. Comes standard with modification for trolls, and so is the first weapon in the Sixth World to be intended for larger customers. 16 physical damage, -6 armor piercing, semi-automatic, 6-round M. I don't remember what M stands for. 6-round clip. It's always a clip. Magazine is probably what it is. And it's 20 forbidden rating. Then that costs 21,000 new yen. But then there's also the Panther XXL, which is just like a straight upgrade. Huge fragging gun is an assault cannon that uses ammunition similar to the primary weapon in many small tanks. 7 accuracy, 17 physical damage, -6 armor piercing, 15-round clip, 20 forbidden rating, 43,000 new yen. Holy shit. Again, that might be something you go all out on. Run and gun has the Ares Thunderstruck Gauss rifle. I assume whenever you shoot it, it plays a little bit of AC/DC. So this one's pretty interesting. It uses both regular ammunition and, like, you have to buy, like, power packs. I don't really remember all, like, the fictional science around a Gauss rifle, but I believe it uses, like, electricity fields to fire a projectile at, like, ridiculous speeds. Something like that. Like, or maybe it's magnetics. That makes more sense, doesn't it? 15 damage, -8 armor piercing, 12 forbidden rating, 26,000. And not very concealable. The Ogre Hammer SWS Assault Cannon. The Onatari Arms Ballista MML. Like, some of these are just ridiculous. Most of these are highly forbidden, and you're not going to be able to get it right out the gate unless you really go for it. And they also cost tens of thousands of new yen. Grenade launchers and missile launchers both kind of do what they say on the tin. They shoot grenades or missiles, so if you want an RPG, you can get that. The Mitsubishi Yakusoku MRL is a missile launcher, but it allows for burst fire. Yeah, that's insane, and that's pretty illegal. Run and Gun also introduces laser weapons, which are, I guess at this point in the fiction, kind of experimental. They only have a few of them. They basically have like a light pistol laser weapon, an assault rifle one, and then kind of like a machine turret one. They're all very illegal. Like, the pistol is 14 forbidden, costs 7,500. Doesn't really do much. It does 5 damage, but it does -10 armor piercing, which is very ridiculous. It's kind of, you have to, like, it's kind of cumbersome to use. You only get like 10 shots, and then you have to get another power pack. But it has very high accuracy. They're not bad. They're expensive and not really, I mean, they're cool. They're laser weapons. They're experimental. They also have a flamethrower, the Shiawaz Blazer, which kind of has its own rules. 16 forbidden rating. Even though now, apparently in the real world today, you can buy like a civilian-ready flamethrower, which I don't know what that is for. I guess no civilian ever needs a flamethrower, but now you can get one, or so I read somewhere. All right. So then we go into, how long have I been talking? 47 minutes. We're not going to get through anything. This is going to be a 2-part video probably. There are also firearm accessories. So these are all the things you can trick out your weapons with. Some of them make a lot of sense, like the silencer or a bipod or a spare clip. Some things are kind of like exclusive to Shadowrun, like the smart gun systems. Or a gyro mount. But then you have things like a hidden arm slide. So this is what you would, if you want the thing with the Derringer coming out of your arm, you get the hidden arm slide, because this goes under your clothing, you attach it to your forearm, and it can fit a holdout pistol, light pistol, or a taser. So that would be where, you know, if you really want a bunch of firepower up your arm, you get the light pistol, because you can't get the heavy pistol. So then with a hand gesture, you slide it out of your hand, and click, clack, boom. They also have the quick draw holster, which is not quite as concealable as the hidden arm slide, but it helps for quick drawing. But they also have the quick draw, concealable quick draw holster, which is somewhere else. That might be in Run and Gun. I don't remember. It's like strictly better in every way. I don't know where that one is, but it's just better. I don't remember, but that exists. Yeah, most of this is not really anything crazy, so I won't waste any time. Run and Gun, does that have anything crazy? Probably. There's the advanced safety system, which works along with your smart link, and it keeps other people from firing your gun, so it's kind of like Judge Dredd. And so you can set it so that if somebody somebody other than you touches your weapon and tries to use it, it will blow up in their face for 14 damage. -5 armor piercing. So yeah, it can also just have them shock them if you don't want to blow it up. You can get a bayonet. The concealed quick draw holster. There it is. What more do you want a holster to do? You get to reduce the concealability modifier of your weapon by 1, and the quick draw threshold by 1. It won't fire the thing for you, though, so buckle down and do it yourself. Flashlights, folding stocks, the gecko grip, which is kind of like... this gives your grip a bunch of tiny fibers that are often clinging to just about everything. You can turn them on and off wirelessly. And gives a +6 bonus on any test to see if a character keeps grip on the gun. I mean, I guess some people really want that. As a sniper, I don't think I ever need that. But maybe some people that are doing like gun kata really need to hold on to their guns. You have the gun cam, which is what Gug has on his sniper rifle. This records everything that basically your gun looks at. So that's cool. Safe target system. So this avoids you shooting your buddy instead of the enemy. Slings tracker, which is just an RFID tag inside your weapon that you can always find it. Underbarrel bola launcher. Underbarrel chainsaw. Yes, Gears of War shit. Underbarrel flamethrower. Underbarrel grapple gun. Underbarrel grenade launcher. Underbarrel weight, which is the most boring of the underbarrels. A weapon comlink, and a weapon personality, which basically puts like an AI into your weapon so it can talk to you. I don't know who would ever buy this, probably Ed, but there you have it. Moving on, because we got to keep doing that. Ammo. So ammo's cool. Why am I... Oh, that's for grenades. No, here. So ammo, yeah. This goes for most types of weapons. Most firearms you can buy all this kind of different ammo for. I think some might say special cases where you can't use it in certain weapons. But so the regular ammo is just regular ammo. 2R availability, 20 new yen per 10. You have armor piercing. 12 forbidden rating, so it's illegal. 100% to own armor piercing rounds, but it gives -4 modifier to the armor piercing. 120 new yen per 10. Explosive rounds. Not as insane as they sound, actually. They're better than regular ammo. There's no reason not to use explosive rounds, but they are illegal, so, 9F, and they cost more. But they get +1 damage, -1 armor piercing. The fléché rounds, as I've talked about. Gel rounds, which basically just turn your weapon into stun damage instead of physical damage. +1 armor piercing. Hollow points, which are illegal. 4 forbidden. So they're not hard to get, but they are illegal. And I think they are illegal, like, nowadays. If I remember correctly, it's like a war crime to use hollow point rounds, because it's like unnecessary cruelty or some shit like that. I don't doubt it. I'm not going to argue it. I don't want to get shot with a hollow point round. You can buy injection darts to inject various drugs or toxins or chemicals into somebody. Stick and shock, which do electrical stun damage with -5 armor piercing modifier. But that modifier replaces the one of your gun. It doesn't add on to it, unlike armor-piercing rounds. Tracer rounds. And tracer rounds, basically, the more rounds that you fire in one turn, they basically improve your accuracy, because you can see where the rounds are going. And then taser darts for tasers, assault cannon rounds for assault cannons. Run and gun adds EX explosive, which is just strictly better than explosive rounds. +2 damage modifier, 14 forbidden. Frangible rounds, which are interesting because they are good against like fleshy targets, but they break apart when they hit something hard. I don't really know when I would ever buy that, but somebody cleverer than I could see, oh yeah, frangible rounds when you want to do this. it seems so situational. Flare rounds, which are, they're flares. You can shoot a flare up. Tracker rounds, which basically have an RFID stealth tracking tag in the bullet. So you hit it and then you can track it with GPS. And then capsule rounds, which are like injection darts, but they just splash on the target instead of inject into them. So those do kind of, you can come up with all sorts of clever shit for capsule rounds. Much like injection, you can just mix anything with DMSO and put it in capsule rounds and splash it on them. Grenades, and this goes for grenades normally and special, like mini grenades for grenade launchers. Flash bangs, flash packs, frag grenades, high explosive ones, gas grenades, so you can put any chemical you want in there, smoke grenades, and thermal smoke. Thermal smoke's only difference is that it's meant to kind of obscure thermographic vision, so like heat-sensitive vision, infrared, stuff like that. Contains hot particles. Rockets and missiles are pretty basic. You have anti-vehicle rockets, frag rockets, and high explosive rockets. They all have their own stats and things. They're all forbidden. Most of this is forbidden. Oh, and then exotic ranged weapons. I talked about exotic melee weapons. I didn't talk about these. I don't know. Oh, no, the core rulebook does have some exotic ranged ones. Yeah. As the Ares S3 Super Squirt. Yes, it is called the Super Squirt. I'm not shitting you. Popular non-lethal weapon fires DMSO gel packs. DMSO stands for dimethyl sulfoxide. And what it does, Spoonie, okay, if you like my videos, you're watching this, I assume you do. Spoonie has this Counter Monkey series, which I've mentioned a number of times. I know a lot of my viewers have seen it. Spoonie's first Counter Monkey video was called The Squirt Gun Wars. It was about Shadowrun, and it was about DMSO. It was about his players discovering DMSO and using it in every way possible. It's an incredible story. It's really funny. Definitely makes you want to do the same thing. So dimethyl sulfoxide in this game basically blends with any other chemical you want. No matter what kind of chemical it is, it blends together, and it makes it so that when you hit them with this mixture, their skin absorbs the chemical that you mixed into their bloodstream. So like some stuff, you have to like ingest it, or it has to be injected in order to work. With DMSO, if you mix it together, all it has to do is touch them, and then it'll go in. So you could mix it with bleach. And so instead of them drinking the bleach and dying, you can just splash some on their skin and it'll go right into their bloodstream and they'll die that way. DMSO is horrific. I'm sure at some point actually, my GUG already has some stuff with DMSO. I haven't used it yet though. So the Super Squirt basically fires just DMSO gel packs ready to go. You can pretty much do it in any way with injection darts or with... not injection darts. Capsule rounds from run and gun, you can do it already with any gun. And with gas grenades, you can already do that normally. But there's the Super Squirt. But you have to use the exotic ranged weapon skill for all these. The Fischetti Pain Inducer. For a non-lethal weapon, the Fischetti Pain Inducer is not very humane. It makes someone feel like they are in a microwave, roasting from the inside out. Yeah, so it does stun damage, I guess. Yeah, so it does stun damage, I think. But if they fail the test that they have to do for being hit with this, the target must spend his next action phase doing whatever it takes to run away from the pain. The attacker can continue to hold their beam on a target with a complex action unless the Game Master deems the target has dodged away or found cover. If the target cannot get out of the beam, he is incapacitated with pain, suffering a dice pool modifier equal to the modified power in all tests for as long as the beam is trained on him. Jesus Christ. As you might imagine, it is highly restricted, but it's not forbidden, which blows my mind. It's 11R. It costs $5,000. but it's not forbidden to use. You can get a license to use a Fischetti pain inducer. I don't know how you justify that, but okay. Parashield dart pistol, which just seems kind of odd to me, but it is a pistol that can use dart rounds, which seems to imply that other pistols cannot. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about all the rules for that. I'd have to double check, but there is a special dart pistol. I guess if other pistols cannot, then the only way you can do that is with that dart pistol, which means you need the exotic ranged weapon skill for the dart pistol to use it. And there's the dart rifle. Now that seems kind of bullshit. I guess if a normal sniper rifle cannot use darts, then I'm playing things wrong. That sucks. I don't know why you need a special skill to use a dart rifle. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know about all that, but there you have it. Then Run and Gun adds the sonic rifle, the Screech sonic rifle. Uses focused sound waves to disorient the target while not causing any real damage. So it's good for crowd control. Does a bunch of stun damage, blah, 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 16R rating. So yeah, the sonic rifle is more restricted than the pain inducer. You can also get a blowgun, bolas, monofilament bolas. If getting tangled up by a pair of metal balls on a metal wire wasn't bad enough, imagine if that wire was a monofilament line. There's very little intention to capture and much more to harm, though the company tagline is suppression through intimidation, claiming they wrap and prevent escape by the threat of increased risk of harm. Jesus, that's 18 forbidden and does a lot of damage. That's funny. You can also get boom bolas, which are basically a bola, not Ebola, a bola, which is, if you don't know what a bola is, you might have figured it out. It's basically like two rocks together with like a rope or a wire. And you throw it using like centrifugal force, and it's supposed to wrap around somebody's legs somewhat forcefully and knock them to the ground. And they can't really untie it quickly because it's rocks tied up with rope, and so you usually can catch up to them by that point. You've probably seen it in movies. So yeah, the monofilament bola just like cuts your legs off, and then boom bolas, you just like replace the rocks with grenades. The gyro jet pistol, which is basically an underwater pistol, but it actually uses like small rockets. It uses special rounds, and it's 12 forbidden. And then the gun cane. Yes, there is a gun cane. If you wanted a gun cane, you can get it. The official one is made by Trafalgar, or it's actually made by Mortimer of London, but it's called the Trafalgar gun cane. But you can get a knockoff one for like $600 less. It does more damage because they use heavier rounds. But the knockoffs can only be fired once. The official one does less damage, but you get to reuse it. The knockoff, much cheaper, more damage, but it blows up after one use. But really, how often are you going to use a gun cane? If you're using your gun cane, it's probably a bad situation. But there you go. There's a net gun, which fires a net. This can be a regular one or a big one for like trolls. Or you can have it do a shock net, so it electrifies the person it hits. They have shooting bracers, which are literally, again, for women. These are for women, unless you're kind of a dandy. They are like very elaborately designed bracers that can fire caseless ammunition. Again, not very damaging, but nobody really would expect it, I guess. Yeah. Hold on, let me just double check everything. How long have I been talking? 1 hour and 4 minutes. Alright, I think actually that's going to be the first video. We basically just talked about weapons. We talked about an hour, and I didn't read a lot of stuff. But, yeah, that's weapons in Shadowrun. Again, that's only from the core rulebook and the run and gun supplement. There are some other weapons here and there, I think, but really not many. I covered most of them.
So next time, I guess we'll talk about explosives. We didn't even get to that. Armor, which isn't really... It's not really that fascinating. There are some cool armors that I'll read about, but most of them is pretty basic. Like, biker armor. And then we'll go into all the others, the add-ons. The electronics, the breaking and entering gear, all that, and maybe we'll touch on cyberware. Yeah, there's a lot to cover, and again, you can just go through these books for days and just make all these crazy characters that use all sorts of different stuff. It's all very cool. Yeah. All right. So, my name's Mang. This has been a weapon shopping trip for Shadowrun 5th edition, and I'll see you fine folks for the rest of it.